Hi there, everyone. Judge Andrew Napolitano here for Judging Freedom. Today is Wednesday, January 24th, 2024. Phil Giraldi joins us now for his regular Wednesday session with us. Phil, it's a pleasure. Thank you for joining us. Phil, last night we had on Aaron Mette, a young colleague of Max Blumenthal, whose views are identical to ours on the tragedy in Gaza. And I said to him, are Israel's two stated goals of defeating Hamas and returning the hostages compatible? And he said, well, those are Israel's stated goals. Israel's real goal is far beyond defeating Hamas. Israel's real goal is from the river to the sea. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think that that is Israel's real goal. And if you had followed Benjamin Netanyahu's career, I think you would have seen a lot of instances where the truth was kind of leaked out in a certain way by certain language that was used and so on and so forth. I mean, Israel has de facto control over the entire area right now from the river to the sea. The question is, how do we, speaking as an Israeli or an Israeli governor, is basically how do we get rid of the Palestinians and make this a 100% Jewish state and ethnically Jewish, and that is what we see playing out right now. I mean, when Netanyahu, I mean, defied Biden when Biden was 2 days ago was recommending the two-state solution yet again. That tells you everything you need to know. Netanyahu feels strong enough to be able to deliver a gut punch to Joe Biden, and that shows you what the relationship actually is and what the ultimate objective is. The ultimate objective is to get rid of the PALs.
So when they say their objective is to degrade Hamas and to release the hostages, my question is, are those two goals are essentially incompatible? Your answer is those are not their goals. Their goals
Yeah,
are
I'm
to
saying
make.
those are not their goals, but the stated goals, I think, are not compatible in the sense that the arithmetic on this doesn't work that way. The hostages would be released uh, because that's what Hamas has in its deck of cards. And the hostages will be released if there is some comprehensive type agreement that's negotiated by people that can be relied upon to actually put the heat on Israel if they fail to comply. So that ain't going to work. And it's also becoming increasingly clear. And I think if you're seeing Colonel McGregor later today, he will probably also be saying that getting rid of Hamas is proving problematical. You're going to have real problems getting them out. Their popularity among the Palestinian population is soaring, and essentially, how are you going to get them out? And that means finding all of them and killing all of them, which seems to be rather problematic.
I asked Aaron yesterday if the attitude of the Israeli people about Hamas changed on October 7th. And if on October 6th, it was only the government that had this maniacal, fanatical attitude about them, but the people didn't. His answer, we're going to play the answer for you. I suspect you'll agree. His answer surprised me.
There used to be a peace movement inside Israel. Now it's pretty much dead, and it was dead long before October 6th. That country has gone so far over into the extremes. And I think that's the inevitable result when you base a state around supremacy of one ethnic group over its indigenous inhabitants, and you are founded on ethnic cleansing, and your survival, your identity as a state, it relies on perpetuating that ethnic cleansing. It's inevitable. It's going to just go over to the extreme rather than see any sense. That's certainly what's happened with Israel.
Do you agree with that, Phil Giraldi?
Yeah, I agree with that, but I would add something to it, which is essentially that the Israeli population, as has the American population, have been heavily propagandized by those supporters of Israel, the Israel lobby, if you want to call it that, and basically have been sold a bill of goods about what's been going on, and how how often do you hear all these Palestinians are terrorists? We kill the Palestinian babies because they'll grow up to be terrorists. I mean, this is propaganda of the crudest kind, but it's been repeated over and over and over again. And it's convinced a lot of people who otherwise would consider this rubbish, both in Israel and the United States, that this is maybe the true story.
Can Israel defeat Hamas?
Well, again, physically, it's beginning to look like they can't, because there are two Hamases. One is the armed militia that is doing the fighting in Gaza right now, and they're the people that basically believe in what Hamas is doing. They are Hamas in their heads, and they are believers in terms of what Hamas is trying to do to liberate the Palestinians from Israeli despotic control. And so you got two different Hamases. You might wind up killing many of the shooters, but you're still not going to get rid of the people who've just been convinced that they've been fed a lot of bull over a number of years, and that this is a cause worth supporting.
So someone who agrees with what you said essentially is Israeli retired Major General and former Chief of Staff General Ghazi Eisenkot,
Yep.
who is a member of the war cabinet, who said on national television in Israel, the only way we get the hostages back is a permanent ceasefire. And by the way, P.S., it's time for Netanyahu to go, and it's time for elections in the next 2 months. This, of course, caused Netanyahu to go on national television and give one of his bombastic speeches, I have to say no to my friends. I guess he was referring to General Eisenkot. He may also have been referring to Blinken and Biden, who, tepidly have been saying we need a two-state solution. But my question to you is this manifesting the existence of a serious fissure in the Netanyahu government when somebody like General Eisenkot makes a statement like that?
Yeah, I think it does suggest that a lot of people who are less outspoken probably are thinking the same way, and certainly some of the vibes one is getting off of the people who are demonstrating to get the hostages freed, that they're highly critical of what Netanyahu is doing. So if there's not a peace movement, and I agree with Mate that there isn't per se, there are a lot of people who are suddenly starting to think a little bit, and there's a dissent coming. And when a general who's part of the war cabinet feels free or feels capable of speaking out the way he did, I mean, that's quite astonishing.
It is. It is. I suppose it would be like Joe Biden having a war cabinet and General Milley being in the war cabinet and going on CBS News saying it's time to stop the war. It will be the rough equivalent of that if that were to happen here. Do you think the Netanyahu government recognizes that there are limits to the IDF brutality before the world says enough is enough? Or do you think the world, because of the PR war that Israel wages, will never say enough is enough?
Well, I think, first of all, if you're looking at someone like a personality like Netanyahu, I would say that he does have no concept of enough is enough until all the Palestinians that he wants to drive out of the country or kill are gone. I think there's always going to be a residual Palestinian workforce in the mind of someone like Netanyahu that'll come over to Israel and do the backbreaking agricultural work and that sort of stuff. But I think that's the extent of Netanyahu's tolerance of the Palestinians. And I think it's genuine. It's genuinely the way he thinks. And a lot of Israelis are thinking the same way. But as this war goes on and Israel's image in the world gets more and more damaged to the point where Israel is already about as badly damaged as one can imagine, there might be some people who are willing to second think about Israel's place in the world and what has to be. And certainly treating in this, century, in this time, after all of the history that's gone on for the last 100 years, to be thinking in terms of Palestinians being subhumans, as many Israeli government officials have been willing to say, this is just something that's so unacceptable that I think the message will be getting through to some people in Israel and hopefully more in the United States, that this is just flat out wrong.
Here's the scene outside of Prime Minister Netanyahu's house, his official residence, 2 evenings ago.
This demonstration held near the home of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu last night. His spokesperson says Netanyahu met with some hostage families yesterday after he rebuffed a Hamas hostage proposal over the weekend. Just hours after that meeting, the news outlet Axios reported the Israeli ceasefire offer. Now, that report says Israel's war cabinet approved the proposal 10 days ago. A CNN report today adds that Israel is offering senior Hamas leaders a chance to leave Gaza as part of the offer. Axios says Israel is waiting for a response from Hamas. There is no Israeli government comment on the reports officially.
One of the hostage family members with whom Prime Minister Netanyahu met is a veterinarian, female, whose son was in the military, who was slowly gassed to death in one of the Hamas tunnels by the IDF,
right? Not
by Hamas. The scene was gruesome because of the damage to his body caused by his efforts to escape the chamber that he was in when he knew that it was poison gas. He did not know at the time of his death that it was his own comrades that had introduced the poison gas into the chamber where he was. Two other hostages, not members of the IDF, suffered the same fate. How cold and cruel and monstrous can Netanyahu be as to have permitted, authorized, or defended such despicable behavior?
Well, it's interesting to note that, I mean, the hostages that have been visibly killed, all 6 of them that I know of, have been killed by the Israeli army. And so that's again, that is coloration to the narrative that is developing, where people are starting to have second thoughts about what's going on and why it's going on and how it's going on. And that's got to be good if it puts pressure on Netanyahu. But the fact is, this is horrific. This is awful stuff. And I'm thinking of the other hostages, the 3 of them that were waving the white flag and were shot down dead a few days ago, a week ago.
Right.
And it's just, this is so horrific, and we're watching it in a sense in prime time, and they're getting away with it.
Right.
And Biden is enabling them to get away with it. And this is what's really scary. This is not what our country is supposed to stand for, and this is not what we expect from a president of the United States. Although we've had some pretty awful presidents, but this is just horrific, and there has to be some kind of end to this. And I was running through a list of the various candidates that have been involved in trying to become the next president of the U.S. And I was trying to figure out, are any of these people on this list actually willing to do the right thing about what's going on in Gaza? And the only candidate, potential candidate, I could come up with was the Jewish woman who's with the Green Party, and none of the Democrats, none of the Republicans.
Right. You're right. Trump. I don't want to get too deep into politics, but Trump has stated a willingness to bring back troops, to get out of NATO, to reduce our military footprint. But he has also stated that he would be wetted at the hip and would be an unabashed supporter of Israel. So I don't know what he in the White House would be doing in this particular environment. But do you think that Netanyahu is aware of Biden's weakness and is setting a trap for him, so that if there is a wider Middle Eastern conflagration and he needs American active, physically present military support, whether it's jets or whether it's troops on the ground, he'll get it?
Yeah, I think that Netanyahu definitely smells blood in the water. And Biden is weak. I mean, Biden is weak on so many levels over so many issues that we could spend the rest of the show talking about that. But the fact is that Netanyahu has the support of the Israel lobby in the United States, which is the most powerful foreign policy lobby in the U.S. And he has any sum of money he needs to subvert our political system further, to send further messages to Biden. Yeah, he does. He's got all that. And I was really revolted yesterday, or maybe the day before, that when Biden made this comment about how our troops who are being attacked in Syria and Iraq, he said something effective. If even one of them is killed, he suggested that Iran would have to be attacked, even though he provided no evidence that Iran had instigated these actions. I mean, this is incredible.
I mean, why are the troops there? Are they there to be targets, so as to instigate and have a fake justification for war? The Iraqi government has said, "Get the hell out." The troops are being attacked in Iraq from within Iraq. The troops are firing at the people they think are attacking them in Iraq. What are we doing there?
Well, that's maybe another big question. We're in Syria and Iraq illegally. We have military bases in both countries. The legitimate governments of both those countries and their parliaments have asked the United States to remove the troops. There is no particular role that they should be playing. They claim they're there to fight terrorists, but we all know that terrorist is an incredibly flexible word in the White House lexicon. So this is all a lie. This is a fraud, and they're there basically to serve as a warning to Iran, as a tripwire, and that's what it's all about. And why are we wanting to go after Iran? Because Israel wants us to do it.
I was just about to ask you, why do the neocons want a Middle Eastern war? Because Netanyahu has this crazy belief that Iran has an atomic bomb that it's going to drop on Tel Aviv, and therefore Netanyahu wants the U.S. to destroy Iran's military capabilities. Is that it in a nutshell?
Yeah, it's that, but it's also the other part of the nutshell is that Israel has 200 secret nuclear weapons themselves, and
Well, has the UN approved that?
No, and they've never been inspected. They're not party. Israel is not a party to the nuclear pact, and and U.S. government. This is the beauty of it. This is how deep it goes. U.S. government officials are not allowed to mention that Israel has a secret nuclear arsenal, even though the whole world knows it. And even Israel has conceded it a couple of times.
This is not the first question I would ask him. I would interrogate him about lying under oath swearing that it was a matter of American emergency national security interest that Israel get $100 million and there wasn't time to go to Congress. I don't know how he can answer that, but one of the second or third questions I would ask him, what would Tony Blinken say? Mr. Secretary, isn't it true that Israel has atomic weapons and you and everybody else in the government know about it? How the hell does he answer that?
I would love to hear it.
What do you think is the likely response to Biden's persistent, there've been six now, attacks on the Houthis?
I think it's up to 7 as of today.
Okay, all right. Maybe the 7th was since we came on air and streamed that show. I don't know.
It could be. Well, I think we are going to see attacks every day. And again, this is one of these the fables. They're saying this is to protect international shipping and sea lanes and this kind of thing. But really, it all again comes back to Gaza. And the Houthis were attacking only Israeli-owned vessels and ships that were bound for Israel. And that was the limits on what they were doing. But now they're attacking U.S. ships and UK ships, and who knows who else will get into it. And Biden has again hinted that this could be escalated.
And of course, the neocons will rally round the flag. I mean, we've already heard even before the Houthis attacked any ship. Who was it? How could I forget? Lindsey Graham, Senator Graham, saying it's time to attack them, take on their oil fields. Their oil fields are unprotected. I think I'm paraphrasing him fairly accurately. I don't know. Is that drumbeat going to get to old Joe? Do you think that's his goal? Do you think he wants to run for? I do, but do you have more knowledge about this than I? Do you think he wants to run as a wartime president, even if he's concocted the war?
Well, he wants to look like a war leader and a strong president, that's for sure. But the fact is, he's not. And I don't know if he's thought these things through. I wonder who actually advises him. Blinken sometimes, when you see the two of them together, Blinken looks kind of terrified as Joe is talking, and it's just it's a great mystery. And the fact that this guy, at his age and given his clear mental issues, is going to be likely the Democratic candidate this year and could win the presidency again, is scary.
Sure is. Phil Giraldi, thank you, my dear friend. Thank you for all the time, and thank you for all the analysis. I love these Wednesday afternoons with you and look forward to the next one.
Well, thank you very much. It was good to be on again.
Of course. Coming up in just a few minutes at 3:30 Eastern, Colonel Douglas McGregor, and at 4:15 Eastern, Max Blumenthal. Judge Napolitano for Judging Freedom.